to Le Bourget, where French President Emmanuel Macron is speaking to the press.
I would like to salute France's excellence. Over 100 delegations are here. We have the audience coming in as well. It's a huge source of pride. What a success. Obviously, this means we are consolidating our presence in civilian and military affairs. Huge contracts have been signed. Airbus has signed huge contracts. This is important for the air and space sector in France. Also, on the military level, the A400M has been gaining pride of place among our armed forces for the past 10 years, and very soon we will sign an important project for Dassault regarding airspace. So, this trade show is showing how mature our major industries are. Let's wait for the end of the PA address. That's what live television is all about. So a lot of technological breakthroughs. Many drones are coming out, highly innovative drones. 2-3 years ago, drones took up only a little space on this trade show. But now we have high-altitude equipment, and huge contracts will be signed in this area as well. Defense is necessary because of the current world conditions. There is an arms race going on across the world, and this is happening more and more, year on year. As a result, the citizens of France should be extremely proud of their air and space sector. We have the best trade show in the world, and we are rising to the occasion. Also, the French armed forces and industry players are making it all happen. Now I will answer your question. The G7 just yesterday announced its determination to compete with Starlink. What about the EU and France? Are we rising to the occasion? Absolutely. Our sovereignty is contingent upon that. The French government will support that increased shareholding. It is important for French partners to also rise up to the occasion. We also seek to mobilize many other international and European partners. Why? Because UTELSAT is a key provider of satellite services. It has geo and low orbit services. And UTELSAT is the only non-American, non-Chinese player that has those low-orbit satellite constellations that can provide such a service. So this is key to our sovereignty. Over the past few months, we have explained to our partners that if they don't want to become dependent, they need to subscribe to that offer as well. Look at Ukraine, look at the hurricane in Mayotte. We want to accelerate the rollout of contact points on the ground. We want to accelerate launches over the short term and launch the greatest space project in Europe, IRIS-Carré. And at the heart of this project, UTELSAT lies, as you well know. So what is at stake is our sovereignty, our research, our industry. The government trusts UTELSAT and will support that increase in shareholdings, and we're hoping that as many of our partners as possible will support us as well. This is strategically as important. Question is inaudible. Answer. Donald Trump also referred to negotiations. I've said this from day one. Nobody should sweep under the rug the risk of having Iran develop nuclear weapons. The risk is real. The threat is real. And France has always been acutely aware of it. 10 years ago, France was at the heart of negotiating the JCPOA. We were among the most stringent negotiators, and that is a framework that we never left. Yes, having Iran develop nuclear weapons is a threat. We cannot sweep that under the rug, and nobody can seriously think that the ongoing operations are enough to respond to that threat. Why? Because there are nuclear power plants that are under huge protection. At the moment, nobody knows where the 60% enriched uranium can be found. So what we need is technical expertise and negotiations. And that is why, for the past few days, France has made its voice heard. Nothing justifies airstrikes against populations or civilian infrastructure. Secondly, we need to prioritize a return to the negotiating table. We need to discuss the substance. We need to discuss nuclear issues, head towards zero enrichment, limit Iranian ballistic capabilities, and stop funding terrorist groups that have been destabilizing the region for many years. And I've been stating this since 2018, so I've been consistent all the way, and that is why I've asked the Minister for European International Affairs to start the work again. He will be in Geneva in a couple of hours. He will coordinate with his British and German counterparts, and at 3 p.m. he will meet with the Iranian foreign minister and suggest full technical, diplomatic and negotiating measures. I'm not here to comment on this situation. Objectively, the situation is worrisome because of Iran potentially developing nuclear weapons, because civilian populations are at risk, and also because there is a strong risk of escalation which would hurt the region as well as international security. We should all be extremely vigilant and serious. And the situation must be addressed by sitting around the negotiating table. Let's not forget the situation in Gaza. For humanitarian as well as security reasons, a ceasefire is absolutely necessary as soon as possible. Humanitarian aid must resume, and political, diplomatic work must resume as well. Do you agree with the German Chancellor, Mr. Merz, who said that Israel is doing the dirty work, cleaning up Iran? Will you keep the different parties apprised of the situation? As I said before, France believes that Israel's security is strategically important to France, and Iran is an existential threat to Israel. This being said, I believe that the ongoing strikes on civilian or energy infrastructure must absolutely stop, because there's no justification for those strikes. Today, I believe, and in the next few hours and days, I will have additional opportunities to talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Diplomacy and political talks are the only way to go. When it comes to political groups, this is something that I discussed this morning with the Prime Minister, and I hope that he can organize a debate on this issue in line with Article 50 of our Constitution. And as soon as the situation begins to stabilize, we will use the Saint-Denis format to discuss the matter with the different political groups. We'll discuss Iran, Gaza, and other subjects. But let's get through the NATO summit next week. You're talking about a comprehensive diplomatic offer from France. What is it that could put an end to the strikes so we can move on to the negotiating table? Iran needs to express a determination to go back to the negotiating table.
Alors j'ai rien tout de suite à Sophie. Je peux continuer, vous entendez ou il faut
Can you
arrêter?
still hear me, or should I wait until the end of the PA
Le
address?
transport aérien, ce moyen de communication qui permet aux populations des 5 continents de pouvoir
J'ai
se
peur que nous
rencontrer,
soyons partis
se
sur
rencontrer pour mieux se connaître,
sur
mieux
un-
se connaître, pour mieux se
We
un
could be
long
here a
tunnel.
while.
Bienvenue donc à
Bon,
cette 55e
pour conclure,
édition
Allow me to wrap
je
up.
vais
de
donc
l'aéronautique et de
votre question
l'espace.
était sur
What was your question again?
juste avant Sofiane de le faire.
Dans un engagement fort pour la
Oui, comme j'ai pu le dire, nous proposons une
As I
solution
said before,
diplomatique et
we're
donc ce que nous mettons
proposing
sur
a
la table,
diplomatic
c'est
solution.
une
So
solution
what are we
diplomatique
suggesting?
qui traite il n'y a pas de
Discussing.
coordination possible. Non mais c'est trop. Je finis. c'est tout.
Let me just wrap
Et
up.
donc, c'est une reprise du travail
We will
de
discuss
l'AIEA pour
a
aller vers le zéro
resumption,
enrichissement, avec une
a
capacité
resumption of
d'aller
the
sur tous les
work
sites.
of the IAEA
Deux, c'est un
to put
encadrement
an
des
end to
activités
enrichment
balistiques.
activities and the ability for inspectors to
Trois,
go
c'est
everywhere.
un encadrement
Putting an
du
end
financement
to
des proxys dans la
ballistic
région.
capabilities and also
Et
putting an
quatre,
end to Iran
c'est,
funding
véritablement
proxies
aussi
in
la
the region.
libération
And number
des
4,
otages et avec
obtaining the
derrière
release of
une reprise des
hostages
échanges diplomatiques.
and
Donc, il y a une
resumption of
offre qui sera
diplomatic
travaillée par le
exchanges.
ministre et qui
So
sera
our
déposée
ministers
sur la
will work
table
on that
en
offer,
début d'après-midi.
put it on the table
Sur
earlier
Sofiane,
this
je suis heureux de la
afternoon.
retrouver. Au début de mon premier mandat, elle pilotait les
Regarding
hélicoptères que
Sophie, at the beginning of
j'utilisais.
my first term,
Donc, j'ai appris à la connaître.
she would pilot the
Et,
helicopters.
C'est
And
vraiment
I got to know her.
une fierté pour nos armées d'avoir
Sofiano is
une
such
femme
a
aussi
huge
engagée
source
qui a
of
aussi fait cet
inspiration.
investissement.
She's a
Une fierté
committed
qu'elle ait
woman.
été
She's
sélectionnée
made a
ainsi dans
huge
les programmes
investment. She was selected
internationaux et américains.
under
Et donc, je serai
American
tout à l'heure
and
très
US
heureux de la
programs, and I will be
retrouver
delighted to see her
pour
again this
aussi,
afternoon.
défendre, si je puis dire, son implication et les grands programmes que nous attendons.
To stand for her
Voilà, je crois que c'est tout
involvement
raisonnable de
and the
reprendre le
key
fil de la visite.
programs
Merci
that
beaucoup, en tout cas.
we eagerly await. Thank you so much.
Quelles images vous vient de Palestine?